You have had a headache for 3 days and it has not stopped. It is not the kind of pain you can wait out. It sits behind your eye and it grows, and the people who love you have watched you stop eating, stop sleeping, start holding your head and rocking, so they have made a decision. They are going to help you. They lay you down in the daylight because the healer needs to see. Someone you trust kneels on each of your arms. Another takes your head in both hands and holds it still. And the old one, the one who has done this before, leans over you with a sharpened flake of stone and begins to cut a circle into your scalp and then to scrape, slowly, down through the bone of your skull while you are awake. There is nothing to make you sleep. There is nothing for the pain of the cutting either. There is only the stone and the scraping and the hands holding you down and the hope that when they finally break through, whatever is hurting you will leave. This was medicine. And by the end, you will understand why you would have begged them to do it. Here is the thing nobody tells you about being sick in the deep past. The danger was not only the illness, the danger was the cure. Ancient medicine was not gentle, and it was not careful, and a great deal of it did nothing at all, or worse than nothing. There was no way to kill pain, no way to stop an infection once it started, no way to see inside a body that had begun to fail. There was a sharp stone, a hot coal, a handful of bitter plants, and a person beside you guessing. The treatment was a gamble, and you were the stake. And the worst part is this: faced with the alternative, you would have taken that gamble every single time. Start with the hole in the head, because we find it everywhere, all over the world, on nearly every continent. We dig up ancient skulls with a hole cut clean through the bone, not a wound, not a crack from a fall, a deliberate opening, scraped or drilled or cut out of a living person's skull with a sharpened piece of flint. We call it trepanation, and people were doing it long before anyone could write down why. They did it for a head split open by a blow, to lift the broken bone up off the brain. They did it for the headaches that would not stop, for the fits, for the spells, for anything going wrong inside a head that no one could see into. The idea, as best we can tell, was simple and desperate. Something bad is trapped in there, so open a door and let it out. And here is the receipt, the part that should stop you cold. We find these skulls with the bone grown smooth and sealed all the way around the hole, healed. Bone only grows like that if the person was still alive, and stayed alive, for months, for years, after someone scraped through their skull with a piece of rock. People survived this, a great many of them, which means they were awake for it, and they lived to remember it. Now break a bone, because everyone did, and see what waited for you. Step wrong on a slope, fall from a tree, take a kick from an animal, and the bone in your leg snaps. Where you live now, that is a few weeks in a cast. In that world, a broken leg narrowed your whole life down to a single question: will this heal straight enough that I can still walk, still hunt, still keep up, or not? Sometimes there was help. We find ancient bones that were splinted and bound, set close enough that they healed almost true, and you can tell that someone fed and carried that person through the long weeks they could not move. That is mercy, written in bone. But far more often we find the other thing. Bones healed crooked, fused at the wrong angle, twisted and shortened because no one set them and the body just sealed the break however it had fallen. That person walked bent for the rest of their life, if they walked at all. And the ones who shattered a hip or snapped a thigh where the great vessels run, most of them do not show up healed at all. They simply stop. But the thing that killed quietly, the thing you could not splint or scrape away, was rot. There was no medicine that could touch an infection. So a small wound, a thorn, a bite, a cut from your own stone tool could open a door that nothing could close. It would redden. It would swell. The red would crawl up the limb in a line, and the fever would come, and then there was nothing to do but watch. A scratch could kill you. A scratch killed people constantly, and it lived in your mouth, too. Their teeth were ground flat and split by the grit baked into their food, and through those cracks, the rot got in. An abscess under a tooth is its own quiet horror. We find ancient jaws eaten hollow by it, the bone simply dissolved away. From there, it was a short path to the blood and the brain. A toothache became a death. The one weapon they had against rot was fire. Burn the wound, press a coal or a stone heated until it glows against the torn flesh to seal it and stop the bleeding. Sometimes it worked. It is also one of the worst things you can do to a person who is awake. And they did it anyway, because the alternative was the red line, and the fever, and the dark. And when the rot had already taken a limb, there was one last thing left to try. Take the limb off. We have found the proof that they did. A skeleton missing the lower part of an arm or a leg, and the bone at the cut end grown rounded and sealed over. Someone amputated that limb with a stone edge, with no way to numb it and no way to stop the bleeding but fire. And the person lived for years. That is one of the bravest and most terrible things in the whole human story, and it was done tens of thousands of years ago. Almost everything else they reached for was just hope. A few plants genuinely helped, something bitter to chew that took the edge off an ache. But most of it was charms and pastes and prayers and things pressed against the skin that did nothing at all or fed the very infection they were meant to fight. When you cannot see the enemy, you swing at everything. That is what medicine was. A sharp stone, a hot coal, a handful of leaves, and a person kneeling beside you who was guessing and trying, with everything they had, to keep you on this side of the dark. So here is what you have to sit with. You want to believe you would have refused, that you would never have let someone scrape into your skull, or hold a glowing stone against your skin, or saw at your own child's arm with a flake of rock, that you would have known better. But you would not have known anything better, because there was nothing better to know. And it would not have been a stranger on the ground in front of you. It would have been your own child, burning with fever, the red line climbing their arm, screaming, and the only choice you had would have been the hot stone and a chance, or your arms around them while they died. You would have reached for the stone. You would have held them down yourself, because doing nothing was not mercy. Doing nothing was just watching, and some part of that is still in you. The cold drop in your stomach at the sight of the needle, the way your whole body tightens at the sound of the drill in the next room. The animal part of you that does not quite believe, no matter what you are told, that the person leaning over you with a sharp thing is there to help. That fear is not foolish. It is old. It was earned over thousands of years, on the ground in the daylight, with hands holding you still and a stone going in. Your body has not forgotten what medicine used to cost, and if you had lived back then, you would have done the same.